Sorry, I just heard a very funny joke that I'm sure was very humorous. Welcome all, welcome one and all to my wonderful little second debut. You see, the first debut was a bit of a mess. I went on for a bit long. I got on tangents. I got distracted by my very good friends, who asked me a lot of wonderful questions, and I gave a lot of lore, and I had trouble ordering food during that time, which resulted in... I don't even want to discuss it. And apologies if some of the edits are causing the music to be a bit jumpy. You see, I'm doing this within OBS Studio. I'm learning how to do it. I am learning how to do hotkeys now. Are you happy, Kai? Are you happy? But yes. Allow me to put up my slideshow because I already showed it once and all, so give me a moment. Hold on. Welcome to Dr. Luna Ludenberg's presentation of madness. By... well, I'm sure you can take a guess. Let's see here. Ah, yes. Alright, about that strain, Dr. Luna Ludenberg. My name is, of course, Luna Ludenberg. You can call me Dr. Ludenberg if you want to be more formal, or just Luna is fine. I mean, if you're being casual, I made a typo here. How did I notice this? How did I not notice this last stream? How did I not correct this last stream? What am I doing? My age is 21, though my travels often get me confused. Alright, I'll be straight with you. I honestly have no idea what my age actually is because of all the travels I've done. I've been in dimensions where time moves differently. I've been in dimensions where calendars are different. I spend most of my time residing in a dimension without a day or night cycle. Or at least not a clear one. So I have no idea how old I am. I could be 21 as I claim. I could be 127. So that's the end of that story. My birthday is on the 1st of August. Nothing special. Originally I was going to make up a birthday. I was going to make it the publication date of Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, the original book. But apparently no one knows the exact date. So I was out of luck there. My height is a whopping 188 centimeters. 6'2" for you Americans. Well, technically I'm living in the US, but you get to my drift. I am a tall lady. I am not afraid to let you know that I am very robust in height. And, well, around the chest area as well. My pronouns are she, her. I am a trans woman. This will get me lots of hate, and, well, I wouldn't be a mad scientist if I was unprepared for any form of hatred against me whatsoever. I just wish it was against something that was, you know, my fault. Like, hate me for fiddling with God's creations. That's a legitimate criticism. My sexuality? I am bisexual, but I am also aromantic, meaning I can have sex with you, but I can never be your waifu. F in the chats. I am an anarchist as a political affiliation. Now, most VTubers aren't going to talk about their politics or anything of the sort, and I can understand that to a degree. But I am unable to keep my mouth shut. Therefore, I have to talk about politics at some point during a stream, or I will go mad. Well, my equivalent to mad, I was never staying. Alright, but joking aside, let's move on. Things I enjoy. I enjoy horror films, especially those in the comedy horror or horror genre. Or can I do that again? Horror films, especially those in the comedy horror genre or horror musicals. Horror musicals are great little song and dance things involving frights and terrors, and comedy horror, well, comedy and horror are very similar. As Alfred Hitchcock said, comedy and horror are Siamese twins. Well, specifically what he said was horror is comedy's deformed Siamese twins. So there's that. Pizza. Pizza is my favorite food. It is just a simple delicacy. It is basic, yes, I admit. Though I do make up for it because there are other fine dishes out in the multiverse that I have tried and enjoyed. I just am not willing to get past pizza. I enjoy it oh so much. I also enjoy traveling across the multiverse or the internet. I consider them similar entities in that they are both great forms of travel that allow you to see brand new and exciting things and wondrous things, and allow you to meet new people who can save your life, but it can also destroy you from the inside out and get you killed by a cave troll. But yes, I mostly love it, despite both their flaws, because I like new experiences, I suppose. And both of these are full of those. And of course, I wouldn't be the woman I am today without the internet. I don't think I would have even known I was trans. I would not have my friends. I wouldn't be in the location I am currently. I wouldn't have known half the stuff I did. I would have been bored out of my mind during most hours of the day. So, it is a blessing. And of course, another thing I enjoy, my friends and comrades. My friends and comrades who happily distracted me during my actual debut stream, but I hold no ill will against them because they made it so much more fun. Definitely got rid of the anxiety and the nerves, I'll tell you that much. I of course also enjoy art and culture, just in general. Art and culture are to the human condition, or sentient creatures for that matter. I shouldn't ignore all my friends who are non-human. Any sentient being knows that art and culture is to them what food and water is to life in general. Okay, they don't know that. That's very presumptuous of me. I don't know why I said that. I am nervous. Moving on. Crows, ravens, and other corvids are just lovely birds. Back home, I have an aviary filled with the little bundles of joy. They're so intelligent too. They can recognize faces. They know the purpose of stoplights, or at least enough to know when to put its nuts under her. You're going to take that out of context, aren't you? I also enjoy chaos, so take that out of context, will you? Yes, chaos is a wondrous activity. Lots of fun for the whole family. See, a lot of people misinterpret what chaos even is. They think it's, they think it's, oh, murder, mayhem, death, destruction. But no, it is simply the absence of order. It is just as good or as bad of a force as order is, and we all know that order can be absolutely awful. If you ask me, I prefer the chaos of the horde and the order of the tyrant. So, there's that. Oh, and this isn't listed, but I have a hypnosis fetish. Yes. 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 I admit that. Twice. On camera. On my channel. On youtube.gov. I am brave. But yes, I do quite enjoy being entranced. Doing the entrancing. I used to consider myself completely a sub, but that was before I knew I was trans. And now I'm a switch. So that's wonderful news for me. But yes, let's move on to things I hate. If you're wondering why the text is red here, it would be hard to read otherwise, and it's already difficult to read here. But yes, I despise things like conservative thought in most of its forms. The libertarian right I just view as misguided, their ideology corrupted by the conservative values, the idea of money, arbitrary things like that. But the authoritarian right are just despicable. Just a despicable ideology in all reality. That is my honest opinion on that. And while I hate capitalism and the concept of money in general, those are awful things that we shouldn't have done. I can see why money was made. I mean, it was viewed as a more sensible alternative to the barter system. Oh look, the loop started again. But yes, it was viewed as the alternative to the barter system, and they went, well, what's the worst that could happen? And then a few decades later, the worst happened. So, there's that. But most of all, I hate the Walt Disney Corporation. They try, like, other media companies are not good because they're companies. That means they're bad, because in order to make a major corporation, you have to do something morally wrong, knowingly. So, that's my thoughts on the matter. But the Walt Disney Corporation goes above and beyond, trying to commodify culture until art is nothing but a product instead of, a passion of artists. And yes, Disney does make good works. They made some great animated features, some of my favorites of the 2000s, in fact. But they are pure evil. They even have a copyright policy to where even if you just make a simple napkin doodle while under their employ, it belongs to the Walt Disney Company. You can look that up. So yes. Oh, this one's less important, but still. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, other vegetables that are in that similar nature, I have the same taste buds I did when I was 5. So, there's that. I also dislike the MCU, don't at me. I am a much bigger fan of DC, but I do enjoy Marvel Comics. Well, sometimes I enjoy Marvel Comics, but the MCU, after Phase 1, it just gets more and more convoluted, and I hate what they did to Spider-Man. I just hate how they turned a hero for the poor and disenfranchised into an idolizer of a multi-billionaire. So, oh yes, and the cops, because all cops are bad. Don't at me. Again. Why do I get the feeling I'm gonna be in more trouble for my opinions on the MCU? Anyways, here's something good. Some of my favorite films include Coraline, Creepshow, and Clue. Now, they do not seem that similar, aside from the letter C, which I swear was not intentional, but they do have similarities. Namely, they all take place in some form of horror, Coraline being a more classical horror story, Creepshow being a tribute to horror comics from the 50s, and Clue being a mystery thriller involving murder, and all that. But they also have elements of a more lighthearted genre, namely comedy. Creepshow is an outright horror comedy. It has such a unique vibe to I highly recommend it. It's unlike any other movie you'll ever see. Clue is mostly comedy, but it still has those nice thriller elements and a sense of mystery that you won't guess until, well, the multiple endings. So, there's that. Yes. And Coraline is a children's film, and it has a lot of good comedic, whimsical elements that are typically in a children's film about going to a magical land. Just quickly turned on its head. As for games, I enjoy Team Fortress 2, my first love in gaming. That wasn't Nintendo related. And such wonderful characters. The Source Filmmaker fan films are delights and helped introduce me into the internet as a whole and the concept of fandom. I also enjoy We Happy Few. I view it as a lovely little tribute to dystopian satire throughout the ages, as well as discussion about... Sorry, I blanked out for a second. As well as discussion about how it's happiness and whether we should force it, and about which is something relevant to our culture. Not to mention there is something relevant about a society that forces people to be happy in a setting where the government is trying to bury the existence of a deadly disease under the rug, as the cops are heavily abusive. Everyone's wearing masks, though in their case it's not helpful. In our case it is. Wear your masks. And moving on to Inscription. Inscription I just view as this love-hate letter to gaming in general, not just video games but gaming in general. To say anything more than it is simply wonderful, with some very lovely aesthetics and vibes, is to spoil it. Play it. Play it. Play it. Yes. And in terms of comics, I quite enjoy DC comics. The ones I've listed here are the works of Alan Moore, but a special focus on V for Vendetta. I enjoy quite a few Batman comics, specifically for its villains, though one of my favorites is more of a mystery ones, The Long Halloween. Very good art style. Another more obscure comic I would recommend is Chew. It's this nice little comedy action series. It's with some very sweet dramatic moments as well. It's in a world where people gain superpowers relating to food, including the main character, who can sense things that have happened through food in the area. It's very funny, very dark as well. It does not shy away from things like death. Speaking of death, Uzumaki, the Spyro manga. One of the most terrifying mangas put to print. One of the most terrifying comics put to print. It is wonderfully... It burrows into your brain. And like I said, I am into hypnosis, and that involves a lot of Spyros. So that association made it much more terrifying. I think I just realized that maybe the strange frenzied state that the townsfolk go into could be a form of hypnosis, which could also be tied into spiral. Moving on to books, literature, other such things. There's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series by Douglas Adams. Very good satire. It is the embodiment of the phrase, the best science fiction doesn't predict the automobile, it predicts the traffic jam. That book series is the prediction of the traffic jam. And all, except the last book, I'm not a fan of the last book in the series very much, are optimistically cynical. They have this little bit of optimism in there, and a little bit of pessimism in there. And of course, We all know the answer to the question of life, the universe, and everything. 42, which apparently is Unicode for semicolon, which means just fill in the blanks, which the computer is basically saying, make your own meaning, suckers. It's a very Nietzschean philosophy by the computer. Though a very roundabout way of saying it, might I add. But yes. Next would be Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. A book that can go quickly from serious to comedic. It's a great book about mental illness and standing out and being strange in general. It is just a wonderful little book. One that's not listed on here that I also like to mention is A Brief History of Vice. A very nice book by a former writer of Cracked.com. I almost said Cracked Magazine because I actually own a few issues of that. Or at least I did at some point. But yes. It is a very good book about the many vices, including the obvious ones, such as, sex and drugs, but also rock and roll. There is a section dedicated to music being hypothetically the first drug. But it also covers things like insults, insulting one another, celebrity worship, just anything that could be considered a vice. And it's specifically about how those vices shaped history. I'm sorry, I'm stalling because the next one on the list is Captain Underpants. I just had trouble thinking of books. But still, it is a very good series about immaturity, about letting children be immature, letting them write things like Captain Underpants versus Professor Pippy P. Poopy Pants. Only I could dramatically say Professor Pippy P. Poopy Pants. Without bursting into laughter. But yes. It is a very good series. It is very pro-children, which I like. I've always been a fan of being in a childlike state of mind. It is lovely. I know my head is blocking it a bit, but you can understand it, as well as understand A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. Very good book. Hey, do you want to introduce your child to the concept of paranoia? Then this book series is 100% for you. But yes. It is also very good. I highly recommend the Netflix miniseries. Also, if you're wondering, speaking of which, if you're wondering why I don't have favorite TV shows, I'm bad at TV, and I rarely finish a series. But just know Doctor Who would be on there. Alright, moving on. Shows of support. Social media is, I have a Tumblr, it is in my channel description. And I know eventually I am going to have to make a Twitter account, but I am going to delay that as much as possible because it is Twitter. It is Twitter. Do I need to explain more? Yes. As for the name of my fan base, there were a few possibilities here, but we settled in the stream. Lab rats. You're my little test subjects, my lab rats, my guinea pigs, all that. Though they also recommended lunatics, which I kicked myself for not thinking of first, though maybe I did and just forgot because I am scatterbrained. Yes, and my emoji is a test tube. It would be a purple one, but And you already saw this section right here. Let's get out of here because this works more in live stream and it clashes with the rest of my aesthetic. So I don't know what I was thinking. I think I knew it was a bad idea at the time, but whatever. Anyways, now to show you very quickly my full model. There. As you can see, the lab coat is not exactly wonderful. You can see there's a bit of stretching here. And if you're wondering why that is, it's because this was not originally a dress or anything like that. It was more of a short form shirt that I lengthened for my liking, which means that it works well when you're standing still like this, but if you try to make it move in an animation, well, and you can already see my hands are clipping through it, so I like to interpret it as being behind my back. Also, they didn't have a gloves option, so of course I have to begrudgingly not wear my gloves, instead wearing the opera gloves I typically wear underneath. So, there's that. It looks like I have my hands in my pockets, but no, they are behind my back. Sure, let's go with that. Oh, perfect. Sorry. Yes. Oh. Before we go, let me just show you. Oh, I should show you my expressions, which are much more evident within when my goggles are up. Also, yes, these are goggles. They didn't have a goggle option in there, so there's that. Here's my neutral. Smiling. Anger. What did you do? Sadness. What did you do? You can tell by the one little eyebrow going up, which looks more evident as I smile. I don't know why. But yeah, there's also shock. And this is what the program calls joy. I did intentionally widen the eyes to make it more off-putting, but if you'll notice, I cannot close my mouth in this form, meaning it's perfect for maniacal laughs, which I shall use to close out this video. But yes, simply wonderful. This model I made in Vroid, very simple, very intuitive. I am not exactly an artist, otherwise I would have probably spent hours on a live 2D model or something. But yes, I hope this is sufficient enough for the time being. In any case, that's all for now. I'm sure I have these things in the set. Though I do want to show you one last thing before we go. My new waiting screen. Crash! Once I managed to figure out how to get it to where thunder and lightning play during that scene and scene alone, it shall be. If you're wondering, the art is done by my lovely friend Star. She'll be linked in the description, however she prefers to be linked. Yes. I do hope you enjoyed my little presentation of myself. This is hopefully more focused and professional than, well, what actually happened. But yes, at the very least, I'm not spending a good 10 to 15 minutes just trying to get a phone to work. Oh, that was a voice crack, oh dear. But yes, now let me close this out with a sinister laugh. Oh, before I do, I should let you know, if you want to know more about my philosophy, about my past, about lore, I do talk about it a lot in said debut stream. Like I said, it is a hot mess, but it is a very fun, very entertaining hot mess. I just get distracted by my friends easily. But yes. Anyway, without further ado.